Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your Ascension Forecast for Sunday, December 5th to Saturday, December 11th. So thank you very much for tuning in, for joining me for another Ascension Symptom Forecast rundown. We have to cover what happened last week before we can jump into what is happening right now and what we can expect to happen for the week to come. So we did shift out of that November energy into December's energy, and I'm sure many of you actually felt that shift. It doesn't seem like a big deal just moving from one month to the next, but honestly, it always carries a little bit of a different life lesson. And I know myself and many of my clients definitely felt that shift. We had a little bit extra compounded on that shift with Neptune going direct on December 1st as well. We are in the midst of wrapping up eclipse season. If you are listening Friday evening when this is dropping live, we are mere hours away from the new moon solar eclipse taking place in Sag. So yeah, we got a lot going on. And you know what? This past week has been freaking tough. Physically, mentally, emotionally, it's almost like nothing was really wrong. Just the little things that have been wrong have been piling up, and it doesn't take much to be the straw that breaks the camel's back at this point. So much so that I was even contemplating whether I had enough energy to actually do this forecast. This week has been a very tough one for me professionally, emotionally, mentally, and physically as well. And I am really at my breaking point, and that's what this new moon eclipse energy is supposed to do. We came out of Scorpio season, kind of dabbling in the depths of our darkness, ready to see a certain death. We came into Sag season, ready to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But man, being in eclipse season, this tunnel is long. It's very trying. Just when we think we're almost at the end of this freaking tunnel, it keeps going and going and going. But the main point is that regardless of me running a fever, me being very ill, me being bedridden, couch-ridden, I am no different than you. It has been tough for all of us. The confusion, the pressure, the exhaustion, just everything building up in this pressure cooker in which we currently are in because of eclipse season. Everything is coming to a breaking point, to a boiling point. And like I keep saying, we have to break down before we break through. I wanted to show up though, even though I really don't feel like doing this, like I don't have the energy to inspire, to motivate, to, help anyone out of their darkness because of the darkness that I'm sitting in. What I realized is that, you know what, I always preach, we're in this together, and we're in this together, good, bad, or otherwise. And it's not about, as much as I would love to bring forth my best energy in these forecasts, it's not about always being at your best. It's about still showing up, even at your worst, still unifying, still powering through, still struggling through, still just in the face of all of the things trying to keep you down. You show up and you smirk, smile, and just let those dark forces know that no one, not one thing, not one detail, not one issue is going to keep us from doing our job, from fulfilling our mission, our purpose. And my mission and my purpose is to be here with you guys each and every week to let you know that you're not the only one going through it. You're not alone. And so through my feverish talks and rants this evening, through the cramping, through the absolute pain and torture going on in my physical body right now, I meet you at not my best self, but I'm here and I'm showing up, and I thank you for doing that as well. So this coming week, well, other than this new moon solar eclipse that we got to get through in order to shut the door, slam this sucker shut. Again, thank you for being with me in my feverish rants. We are closing the door on a very long 18-month chapter. This eclipse is the last set of eclipses, last set of life lessons on the Sagittarius-Gemini axis that we've been going through for the last 18 months. And with a great closure, a great ending comes a beautiful, clean slate of a beautiful beginning. And we are going to get this eclipse season over with. We are going to have our breakdown. We are going to have our breakthrough. We are going to be inspired, renewed in our faith, in our confidence, in our hopefulness for the beautiful possibilities that await us. We are going to be gaining some huge momentum, some major clarity. And you know what? Like I've been saying, Sagittarius season really doesn't kick in until after this new moon. Then we're going to get a fair shot of actually seeing action, actually seeing new initiatives take place, new passions, new desires, new paths unfolding, new possibilities, new opportunities. I am all for it, but we do have to get through this eclipse energy first. Other than this new moon, all that we are dealing with this week is adjusting to the energy. Grounding and centering. And I know many of us are saying, like, I haven't been able to move all week. How much more grounded can I get? How much more low and slow can I get? Well, we don't always have to be in physical pain in order to have grounding and centering energy. Sometimes that physical pain has to happen just for us to check out from the roles and responsibilities that we so eagerly want to show up and push through because our bodies need rest. Now, hopefully, we've been giving our bodies the rest in which it's been asking for. And now we can find a grounding point in feeling better, in getting our head and our heart in alignment and listening to the signs and symbols of the universe. We are going to get that green flag to go ahead, make the major moves in which we've been contemplating, take a huge step forward, make an action, take a direction with the new path that we are now locking into travel. That first quarter moon in Pisces, though, on the 10th is really going to help us reflect, help us heal, help us kind of put the pieces of our broken ass selves together at this particular moment. And we're definitely going to see the full accumulation, the full 360 circle come all together, see all the pieces fit together, see why we had to go through the pain and the struggle and the suffering, see why we have to kind of, be taken out of the game, so to speak, with these ascension symptoms and our physical health and wellness in order to recoup, regenerate, rest, relax, recalibrate. And like I've been mentioning over the last couple of weeks, the Sag energy can be a little bit manic because we have spent so much time low and slow, so much time in the darkness, so much time in pain, so much time in suffering. The minute that we actually feel good, we just try to make up for lost time. And what happens? We overdo it. We burn ourselves out. We get disappointed because we never see the end goal because we don't have enough energy to actually sustain the kind of strategy that needs to be implemented in order to actually see these dreams and goals and visions come to life. So this week is going to be no different. It feels like we've been held down a little bit in eclipse season. Of course, we weren't in control. The universe has been in control, and they have a very sick sense of humor, to be quite honest with you. But after this particular eclipse, we are going to get the green light to go ahead and make some major moves. And many of us are going to learn the hard way that we have zero control, zero discipline over the management of our energy. We are going to go from 0 to 60, and then we're going to push ourselves past 60, and then we're going to have the audacity to ask ourselves why the next day we're burnt out, we can't get out of bed, and why we feel like we are never going to meet our goals and our dreams. Well, this is a good lesson. And let me just remind you, we're going to have plenty of time to build, to manifest, to create when we move into Capricorn season, which is just around the corner. But right now, we have to actually bring that fire energy into our physical bodies, our energetic bodies, our mental and emotional bodies, and we have to light a fire under our ass to get going. Now, what are we getting going on? First of all, burning the energetic cords to the past. Okay, can we all just take a vote here? Are we all done with this bullshit? Do we really need to wade in the dark, mysterious, depressing ass waters of our past? Can we just let the ego death happen so that we can move on? Can we just cut the cord? We have to. We have to be free. We have to be light. We cannot continue to attach to old ego identities, old pain stories, old reasonings, old excuses. The Sag energy wants us to light a fire under those bridges, watch them burn for good, turn all the way away from that direction, and launch ourselves in a brand new path moving forward. Why? Because we have enough spiritual wisdom at this point to realize that nothing good is going to come out of staying where it is that we've been at, where it is that we continue to stay at, where it is that we refuse to move away from. It is time to make a major change. This is what we have been building towards. This is what all the transformation energies from Scorpio season's been all about. It is time to launch. It is time for us to move forward. So the ascension symptoms that we can expect for this week. Well, let me just tell you, let me just remind you, we are in a pressure cooker. What happens in a pressure cooker? Well, the pressure builds and it builds and it builds until it reaches that boiling point, a breaking point, and then that whistle starts going off and it's very, very loud and there's steam and it's scary. And what happens when you release that lid from the pressure cooker? Well, we get to blow off some steam, right? Then things get to simmer. Then things get to kind of be revealed. It's an amazing thing that happens when we are under great amounts of pressure. Again, that's how diamonds are made. But we're still in the freaking pressure cooker. We have to get past this new moon energy in order for us to understand why all this was necessary and for us to feel good about it. So, we're still dealing with the death, with the damage, with the destruction that the full moon, the lunar eclipse, definitely revealed to us. Of course, there has to be a removal of the things that are no longer serving us in order to create a space for the blessings to come. And of course, that's what the solar eclipse is all about, is blessing us for our hardships, for our challenges, for our struggles. We're bossing up. We have to get rewarded for that. And there needed to be a space created in order for that to happen. Thus, why eclipse season is heavy and chaotic and crazy and a pressure cooker type of situation. So we're dealing with the death, we're dealing with the darkness, we're dealing with the depression, we're dealing with the sense of dying. Many of my clients reach out and they're like, I literally feel like I'm dying. Well, good, you should. That's what's happening. You're right on point. I think a lot of you are starting to get used to the fact that I don't sugarcoat anything. Like if you feel like you're having the flu and you are dying and you're depressed as hell and you don't know when you're going to get out of this funk and you're sick and you're exhausted, congratulations, you're exactly where it is that you need to be. You know this. You were born for this. You signed up for this. This is part of the physical body's experience, housing the energetic soul, the vibration, the frequency that are going through all these changes. It's a domino effect. If our soul, if our spirit is going through something just wow, well, there's going to be physical repercussions for that. And that's why ascension symptoms are what they are. That's why we feel like we are dying. That's why we feel like shit. That's why we feel like we can't take anymore. And like I said, I appreciate you showing up through the pain, through the suffering, and that's why I am doing this tonight. I know you can probably hear it in my voice. Hasn't been a fun time, but I did talk about the fact that we were going to have some major throat activations this week. Well, let me tell you, I've had throat activations, so much so that I almost lost my voice doing those Astro Tarot forecasts that I put out on the 1st. I do appreciate you all tuning into that. If you haven't checked out your Astro Tarot forecast for the month, your sun, your moon, your rising, please check that out. I literally lost my voice in order to put that kind of information out there for all of us to stay ahead of the game for this upcoming month, wrapping up 2021, preparing ourselves for 2022. Please make my vocal cords happy. Please let them know that they were worth dying this week for. Please go check out your forecast. I hugely appreciate that. So hopefully you didn't lose your voice, but the scratchiness, the sore throat, the swelling of the throat, that is because we're preparing to speak a whole lot of truth. Why? Well, because we're in Sag season. Sag season is about to hit an all-time high after this new moon solar eclipse. You best believe we're going to be speaking out on some topics, on some issues, on some aha moments, some realizations. We might even get ourselves in a little bit of family drama, if you will, a little bit of personal relationship drama. By speaking up and speaking out, we cannot bite our tongues any longer. Let's stay in this mouth kind of area just for a second. We're going to be having some teeth pain again, some gum issues, so maybe your gums are bleeding. We are still going through the purification process where blood is concerned, and the teeth. Remember me talking about the fact that in Chinese medicine, you can actually use, like, look this up if you're interested. Each of our teeth corresponds to a different organ, a different part of our body. When you have a problem in a specific tooth or gum area, you can go up and look up what that particular tooth corresponds to in your body, and that will tell you what organ maybe isn't working at its optimal capacity, where the energy blockages maybe are in your body. It's a really good indicator on what's going on inside your body that you might not be aware of until it's too late. So we are going to have a lot more attention being brought to the throat, to the mouth area. I know we've been talking about this for weeks now, but I'm still having an issue with my just one front tooth. I can't bite into anything. I was never really somebody that could bite into anything anyways, because my teeth are super sensitive, but it's almost like the roof of my mouth has this little trigger button. And anytime that something touches that particular, point in my mouth, the roof of my mouth, the front tooth is just like paining, like somebody just knocked into my tooth, and it's really getting old. I would really prefer for this particular ascension symptom to go away. And again, take it upon yourself and your level of interest in your level of healing, whether or not you want to get familiar with the Chinese mapping system of your face, of your teeth, of the other organs in your body. It's a huge, huge help trying to figure out where the energy is at and where it is that you need to continue to work on in your physical body and in your energetic and emotional body as well. So with the whole mouth issue, let's move around here. The whole congestion in the sinuses, congestion in the head, headaches, it's almost like, I don't know, I want to say like it's almost like air popping in your ear, but it kind of feels like it's like in your head, like there's literally like cracking, popping. And I know that doesn't sound like a good thing. I like to think of it in my mind as, how, the whole neurological mapping thing, like we can literally rewrite our narrative. You can, okay? Like it's neuroplasticity in our brains. Our pain and our trauma basically rewrites our brains to talk, to send signals in a certain kind of way. And when you recognize the operating system and you want to rewrite that pain and trauma, you're literally rebuilding the neuroplasticity connections within your brain. And so these little pops, these little twinges, it's not a headache, it's not a stabbing pain, it just feels super strange, like popping or twinging or whatever you want to call it. I kind of think that this is us rewriting our operating system. And I welcome your thoughts on that, whether or not you're having that kind of sensation or not, and what you actually think it is. But I think it'd be pretty cool if we could actually have like physical signals and validation markers that we're doing a good job at rewriting the old program. So the congestion, the head issues are likely going to continue again. If you feel like you have a cold or flu, you probably don't. It's just the ascension symptoms. But because we're coming with a whole lot of clarity this week, a whole lot of intensity, there's likely going to be some hot-headed moments. And I mean that in a lot of different ways. First of all, be very normal if you were running a fever. I sure as hell am, for no good reason. It's a beautiful thing just to see all the weirdness that takes place, but the fever is very real. Even when I don't have a fever, a legit fever, my face has been awfully red, and I'm usually ghostly white. So to see that kind of color change in me can be a little bit concerning, but basically it's a fire season. We are running hot. Sag is a fire energy. It is very impulsive as well. And like I talked about with the mania and, the high highs, That comes with like surges of blood pressure being raised, comes with flushing of the face. It comes with like, the temperature changes. And I mean, I've been having hot and cold flashes. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not of the age in which that should naturally happen. So I have to kind of blame the Ascension symptom process for that. Being hot and cold at the same time is wild. Freezing to death while sweating to death is just absolutely just strange, but it's been happening. And on top of, all the other weird ass feelings that we're having, like the digestive issues in our stomach, the cramps, the exhaustion, like one would really think like, damn, I have got some kind of mysterious illness that hasn't even, been assigned a wacky ass name yet. It is all part of the energetic process, I promise you. So with the, the head issues that are typically quite normal for us, let's say, I want to move down just a tad. So we talked about the throat activations. We talked about, speaking up, speaking out, getting into a little bit of drama. I want to talk about the fact that hiccups and like unfulfilled burps. I hope you know what I mean. When sometimes you go to burp and it doesn't come out, like it feels like it's like trapped in your throat or trapped in your chest. This is the type of what I'm going to call recalibration symptoms we're likely going to feel this week when we take this time to actually adjust to the new energies. Now, our digestive systems have been going through quite a recalibration themselves. I'm guessing that the unfulfilled burp sensation is likely due to that, but also I feel like we're also getting way ahead of ourselves. Now, keep in mind that Sagittarian energy likes to think big, likes to think futuristically, likes to look at the big, great, grand picture, but fails to recognize the smaller details that will make that big picture come to life. I feel like because we're so eager to feel good, because we're so eager to take action and move forward, we're not necessarily staying that present in our physical bodies and our present forms. And sometimes our biological systems, like normal things like breathing, swallowing, digestion, like hormone release, all of these natural functions that we don't really think of, they're going to come up in really weird ways because our whole system is recalibrating. And that's where the hiccups come in. And that's where I think like these false, unfulfilled burp sensation things are coming from as well, is the aftermath of like our biological systems recalibrating, kind of loosening up a bit because that's what we can expect. We're free after this eclipse energy. We're raging ahead. And with that rage comes a lot, like I said, of those temperature fluctuations, again, running hot. But I want you to pay attention to your anger, to your frustration, to your rage. Now, there is a very, very thin line between love and hate. There is a very thin line between, aggressively, aggressively pursuing something that like makes you happy and being overly pushy to make something happen. There is, pursuing something and then there's forcing something. We have to be very mindful, especially when we're given the green light go ahead. We have to be very mindful whether or not we are pursuing something that we intuitively and passionately are being called to pursue, or whether or not we're just trying to make something happen. We're just trying to force our ego agenda, and we're not listening to the signs and the symbols and the gut instincts and the gut reactions coming through from the cosmos. Now, we want everything yesterday. Keep in mind, okay? We want everything yesterday, which could lead us in having some tantrums, some little fits of rage, because we have big ideas. We feel good for the first time in a long time. And again, I'm not speaking in the present moment because many of us are not feeling very good right now, but we are going to get our second wind. And when we get that second wind, we're going to run with it, and we're going to run with it, and we're going to be aggressive with it. And we're going to be a little bit too much and overwhelmed and a little bit extra. And that could turn into hitting the red line in releasing rage and anger and frustration and throwing a little bit of a mini tantrum. And we definitely want to stay on the side of passion, of intense urges, intense callings, intense missions. We want to be inspired. We want to be dreamy. We want to pursue, the new clarity coming in. We want all of that. And now that Neptune's direct, we're definitely going to have more of that coming in, especially with increased creativity as well, giving some real good ideas, some good strategies to the new inspirations and ideas coming through. But we have to watch our energy, and we can be a little bit extra. Sag season in particular is ruled over by Jupiter, which is, magnifying all the extra thoughts, all the extra feels. We show up a little bit extra. We're all about growth. We're all about expansion, but we turn the volume up on whatever it is that we're focused on. We can become a little bit obsessive and consumed with these great, big, grandest plans, and yet fail, again, to break it down in manageable little pieces. And again, that's why we have big head, big spacey head, big disassociative head. We're kind of delusional, if you will. We get to that point where we can be delusional, biting off a bigger dream than what is actually tangibly possible to actually manifest. And then we're just setting ourselves up for disappointment when Capricorn season comes around and we go ahead trying to build all these beautiful systems and structures and foundations that these new ideas, have inspired us to build. And then we realize we bit off more than we can chew. And then, we're disappointed. We get down on ourselves because we're never going to be able to manifest something that we had too big of an idea about. So we want to be mindful about that. So moving down to the chest area, we've definitely been having some heavy lungs, some random deep coughs coming out, trying to get the phlegm out, trying to get the air expanding in our lungs, making way for new light codes to come in. There is, I'm sure you can hear it. Again, I apologize for having to listen to me like this. My voice is not ideal. My breathing is short and shallow and restrained, feeling like I'm breathing through a straw right now. And that just adds to the heaviness that we're feeling on our chest area. But our chest area is also our heart chakra area. And this week we are going to be going through lots as Venus and Pluto come together. Now, Venus is about to go retrograde here on the 19th. And Venus, of course, the goddess of love and beauty and worth and money and long-term commitments, she's been doing a good number, taking stock on what it is that actually brings her happiness and joy and what is worth her time and what she really values and who she really values. And when she meets up with Pluto, first of all, it can go a couple of ways. We tend to be a little bit obsessive when Pluto is involved. And if we're not careful, we can adopt the negative fear-based narrative with those obsessions. But mostly, I think that many of us have realized our new level of worth, our new level up. And because of that, we're obsessed now. We are obsessed with creating a reality that actually feels good because we've lived in a reality that hasn't felt good for so damn long. We never want to do this again. And with Venus and Pluto, there's a huge amount of intense feelings coming up, like all-consuming feelings. So urges and desires to make things happen, to create a new reality, maybe to pursue a new relationship or get out of the old one, to maybe bust away from, your career in order to pursue something more meaning, more purposeful. We're definitely seeking power and control, and that power and control has to start with our own thoughts and feelings, and it can get very intense. Now, sexual desires and sexual urges are going to peak as well. Let me be very clear, okay? I'm going to pause for a dramatic effect. Do not go back to any person that you have fought your way to get away from, okay? Venus going retrograde has the tendency for us to get, up close and personal with our past, especially exes. Now, Plutonian energy, although very powerful, although very strong, can be very toxic, can be very dark. Sometimes we like to be in pain. Sometimes we like to dabble in the darkness. Please, again, let me just beg you, please Do not go back to anything or anyone that you had to fight to get away from. Not for no sexual urge, not for no negative ass narrative, not for any obsessive thoughts. If you have a dream of this person, please do not take it as a message to contact this person. Okay, especially not in a Venus retrograde. That's not what this is about. We are not doing that, okay? We are only leveling up from here. We're not going back. Please do your damnedest to stay exactly where it is that you're at. If it means that you do not go back to anything that harmed you in the past, that you learned a valuable self-worth lesson from, do not turn around and go back from where it is that you've already come from, okay? That is your warning. But yeah, Venus and Pluto gets pretty intense, and those heart activations coming in through the chest area, through depression, through grief. Maybe you have to grieve that past relationship that you didn't have a chance to grieve because you were fighting for your own survival. Okay? Maybe you have to be sad over who you were in that moment to let those things actually transpire. If you want to go back and do the emotional cord cutting and the mental cord cutting, by all means do that, but do not physically go back. So I want you to pay attention again this week to what side of the body that most of these symptoms are showing up on. Would not surprise me if most of them, and again, drop in the comments, most people are struggling with the right side of the body. Why? Because it's survival. Why? Because it's about aggression. Why? Because we have to make a major move in our physical realms, and that requires the masculine energy to push us forward. Masculine energy asserts us, while the feminine energy is receptive. That's intuition, that's feelings, that's like catching a vibe and like, mulling over it to see what masculine ass action we have to take from that intuitive reception. So I would say, if I was a betting girl, which I'm not, but I would say that most of us are struggling with the right side. Here's a weird thing for you. I was having sharp pins and needle strike sensation coming out of my fingertips. Now, we all know that that is how you harness energy. You can harness the energy by coming in through your palm chakras. You can harness your inner energy and project outward through your palm chakras. What this tells me is that they are preparing us, the divine sources, our guides up there, are preparing us, especially our hands, especially our fingers, to get down to the nitty-gritty of building and creating. They're preparing us for Capricorn season. So I want you to pay attention to the sensations in your fingers. If you're having hangnails, pay attention to that. What side? Are you getting cuts on your fingers? Are you jamming them in doors? Like, pay attention to what's going on in your hands. If negative things are happening to your hands, it's because the darker force energies are trying to block the actual power in which you have to change the world outside of you. If you are recognizing it's one over the other, one side over the other, left or right, that is going to be a huge indicator on where it is that the energy is being blocked and how you can overcome that challenge and that obstacle. So with us moving a little bit further down, we talked about the digestion issue, but I want to go to the back for a second. Our spines are back, so our lower back, our shoulder blades, especially right in the middle, the base of our necks, and some discs lower on, I'm going to say, in the curvature of our back. Our bodies are going through a recalibration. And with that, the energy, the prana, the chi, the kundalini, whatever the hell you call it, whatever label you felt good about assigning to this whole process, the energies go up and down our spine. That is what unlocks the knowledge. It's what, pushes the energy through. It's what triggers the chakra system. There's a recalibration going on, and we're going to be feeling it in our spines. So this is why I always say you need to be doing yoga. Even if it's only to stretch your body out, you need to be doing yoga. It extends our limbs. It frees us up. It gets that spinal fluid moving. It brings that blood circulation, the oxygen through. We have to do what we can in our physical bodies to make this process as easy as possible, because Lord Jesus knows it is not easy. So with that spine, I want you to just pay attention that this impacts the breathing. It impacts your digestion. It impacts your hips. It goes all the way down the sciatic nerve. And I want you to pay attention to your legs for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, we're about to take a huge step forward, and many of us might be locking up in our knees, in our ankles, even in our hips. We might be having tremors. We might be feeling a little bit shaky, a little bit unstable. We are essentially walking into a brand new dimension, and our footings are not strong at this point. They will get stronger when we move into Capricorn season. But pay attention whether or not you're having sea legs, whether or not it's hard to walk, whether or not they're cracking, there's popping, there's tremors, there's shaking. Pay attention to the sensations, because that tells you a lot about your mental and emotional standing point for the changes, the transformation that we're about to walk into. Again, I just want you to just be very keenly aware that we are hypersensitive. Lights are bright, smells are overwhelming, sounds are just awfully penetrating through our brain space. Can be overwhelming. And now that we're kind of given the green light go, and we're going to hit that very manic part of our energy, and we're going to find it hard to manage our energy, not throw tantrums, not be in a manic state, actually, keep our energy at a steady pace so that we can see the outcome in which we desire. Well, that is going to create a lot of friction inside our central nervous system, because we're bringing information in. There's a lot of new perspectives. There's a lot of new ideas. There's a lot of new inspirations coming through. Yes, that has a lot to do with that, sinus pressure and the congestion, the headaches that we're feeling, the energy coming in from the crown, but it has a lot to do with our sensory systems, and everything is different. We're in a different dimension. We're vibrating at different frequencies. Our physical bodies, like my voice right now, is not at the same vibration and frequency that it normally is. There's a reason why our physical bodies go, kind of let us down like this, because a new vibration and frequency is ready to replace it. But we have to give our physical bodies enough calmness, enough resting, in order for the new vibrations and frequencies to actually upgrade in our body. So although I know that I should have shut the hell up many, many days ago, I have too many readings to do. I have too much knowledge to share. I know that this is going to come back to bite me in the butt. I usually lose my voice for at least a week or two at the end of each year anyways. And this is a resting period, a recalibration period. So although I know better, although I know that I should just shut up now and not talk for the next 2 days if I stand any chance of getting through this year without losing my voice, I'm a sucker for punishment. I have roles and responsibilities that I need to keep up with, and I got to continue to push through in order to show up here for you guys, for all of us to unite, to unify, to be together in this pain and in this struggle. So like I had mentioned, creativity, dreams, vision, intuition, coming in a lot more powerful, a lot more clear now that Neptune is direct. Be very cautiously aware of the dream content coming in this week, because after the solar eclipse that bangs us into another dimension, another frequency, another vibration, we're grasping onto ideas that our old selves even last week couldn't even vibrate on the same level of in order to even interpret. So now everything becomes just that much more amplified. It's like we took some kind of, street drug and we're just having this amazing trip, but it's very, very out of the realm of any kind of trip that we've ever had before, can be very disorienting. And, we just have to be mindful about where it is that we're at. So guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. I think that I do have to take a cue from, my channelings and maybe just shut the hell up for right now and just preserve my voice as much as possible. I truly appreciate you guys showing up and sitting through my fumbleness, feverish rant. I do appreciate the love and support. I thank you so much for showing up and liking and sharing and commenting on each and every single post and forecast. I'm sending you guys nothing but love. I hope we all come out of this solar eclipse as better versions of ourselves. And I know we will, because that's what the plan always has been. This is boot camp. This is evolution boot camp, enlightenment boot camp. And it's not fun. And I can't wait for all of us to graduate. We're going to look just amazing, standing all together, just ushering in new earth. And I just want to thank you once again for showing up here tonight, for your continued love and support, and for showing up for yourself. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you have a beautiful new moon solar eclipse. And you know I'll be back to run through what we can expect for the very last weeks in this 2021 year. Hope you have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.